I don't know what to say because, I mean, I could see this with the Spurs. I could see Memphis taking out the Spurs.
They did win, by the way.
They won the series, in case you didn't figure it out yet. But they're young, so that combats with the old age of the Spurs. The Spurs are old. They're not Brett Favre old, but they're old.
They're old.
They're very old.
They only won on a lucky, well, not lucky, but miraculous shots from Ginobili.
It was.
Gary Neal hits a game-tying 3 at the buzzer to send it in overtime.
Yeah.
Who?
That series should have been over in 5.
Then Tony Parker had to lead, basically carry his team in overtime to have them beat the Grizzlies, and then they had no problems the next game.
Exactly. So I could see that. I mean, you kind of saw that last year with the Lakers meeting up with the Thunder in the first round. It was just like, oh, man, this is kind of a weird matchup for them. But, I mean, the Lakers ended up coming out on top, obviously. But I could see it. It was similar because Memphis is a young team, as I mentioned. Spurs are an old team. This is just shocking to me. I thought that they'd just run into a wall once they hit the series. I really thought that the Thunder would just come out and right hook them, if you will, right to the ground. Didn't happen. They ducked and then hit the Thunder with an uppercut. I'm going to stop with the boxing metaphors now.
I thought you were going to go with Rocky a little bit. You ain't so bad.
What happened was the Thunder said, touch me, I'll sue. Then Zach Randolph punched them and said, sue me for what?
You ain't so bad.
You ain't so bad.
Come on.
Oh, do it harder?
Come on,
do it harder?
TV. Come on. Hit me. Come on. You ain't so bad. Come on, Creed.
Come on, Creed. Yeah.
Okay.
Any more for Rocky?
I think that's
good.
good.
We could do some more during the show.
Yeah, that's true. That was pretty good for a good couple minutes.
Yeah,
that was on
not bad at all.
AMC this weekend. That's why it's fresh in my mind.
Okay.
They were doing one of those I Love Rocky days, and it was the 4 of them in a row.
That's cool.
I don't know
That's
if they
best.
did 5. Probably not, because they wanted people to watch the program.
Of course. So, yeah. Yes.
Anyway,
so
basketball.
I guess, and even with Durant scoring, like having a really good game.
Didn't matter.
And
it was at Oklahoma City. And they're
At
more
Oklahoma
excited
City.
than a kid on Christmas that their team is in the playoffs. Because this is going to how we're This is going to be how we're going to do symbols. Just stand in the window, hold up signs.
Boy, they're really getting into the graphics.
We are going to town.
Eventually, we're not even going to be on the screen. There's going to be words over our faces.
See, the problem with that is no one could text us if they're watching us on Comcast because we're not here right now. This isn't live if it's Wednesday. So a text now to the station would go to the current DJ doing the show. Give me a shout out. People are going to be like, who are you?
Who are you?
Who's Chris? Who's Dave? Who's Mom Sel?
Oh, that's not very nice.
True.
Jeez.
Anyway.
Over there, I'm talking about. You missed it. There we go.
Oh.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. There must be something going on.
I don't get it. Oh, well.
Anyway, to wrap up the series, it's a great series because they're both young teams, and they're both teams we don't usually see a lot of, especially the Grizzlies. We've started to see a lot more Thunder this year because Durant and Westbrook have kind of started to shine and got their feet wet in the NBA, but the Grizzlies are still kind of you don't even know what to say about them.
Right.
And it's interesting to see them play this well. They really don't have any pressure on them. They're not expected to win. They play loose.
They've already exceeded expectations.
Yes.
Obviously.
And in pressure situations, they're doing very well at just quieting the crowd. Zach Randolph's coming up with huge shots down the stretch in games, and it's just like nothing for them. No problems.
Yep.
And I don't know if that's going to last or not, but I like it. I can't say it's bad. If the Lakers were to beat the Mavericks, which we'll come to, and they play the Grizzlies, I'd be a little frightened.
Yes.
That might be the wall,
be a
though,
little
that
frightened.
does knock them down a peg or two.
Right.
Just because of the Lakers being not as old as the Spurs.
Yeah, and experience.
Experience. Bynum. If you ran into Bynum, I'd be frightened. But we'll get to that after this quick break of public service announcements. You're listening to the John and Joe Sports Show on 99.5 WSR Scranton in correlation with the Royal Television Network on Channel 21 if you have Comcast cable. Shoot us a text at 570-212-9877 if you'd like to comment on anything we said or you'd like us to address an issue you have. Feel free. If not, stay tuned. We're going to take a quick break after this.
My teenage friend Rachel, she's cool.
Hey. Hey, could you watch the road?
Hey, could you watch the road?
Okay. All right, well, if we die in a car crash, I want to donate my eyes to my neighbor Gary. He has a boat, and he sails all around the world. I would love to see that. I don't know if he actually needs eyes, but who would turn on a free pair of eyes, right? Who's that, Rick?
Back, I'm the only one sitting.
I would like for all of you to see my new shorts that I purchased. I would like to congratulate our production team for just coming back to us in this stage. So to pretend that we planned this the whole time, I'm going to stand like this for the next 2 minutes.
Okay, cool. You want to do it again?
Nah, I think the time is...
And we're back!
Okay, we're back!
All right.
John and Joe Sports Show. Sports Show. Yeah. Anyway, going to the two games that won't be on tonight, because it's Tuesday. If it's Wednesday, though, that's a lie.
That's true.
Stay tuned for these games if you're watching us on Wednesday. Turn them on, because one of them is playing, and another one will be on, I think.
But you know what? We just lost all of our listeners because the heat are on now. They got on at 7.
I think we lost them all because of my shorts. They were offended. Blue
Probably.
is not a color they like. I think they prefer like orange or black and yellow.
Or red.
Shorts?
No.
Oh. Anyway, getting to the last night's game, the Mavericks and the Lakers. The Mavericks edged out the Lakers 96-94. Heartbreaking as a Lakers fan to watch them play down the stretch. Dirk had 28. Kobe had 36. 0 assists, though, which isn't good. Passed the ball. The good thing about last night, well, it's not really good, but it kind of worked in their favor that he was just feeling it last night, finally. And he didn't really need to pass it. He was their go-to guy, big shots down the stretch. Mavericks had a lead basically going into halftime until the last couple minutes of the second half and the last couple seconds where Jason Terry fouled
Lamar
Odom on a half-court desperation shot for no reason. Like, just don't stand anywhere near him.
Right.
If he makes it,
Right.
Godspeed. Congratulations. Like, if he pulled a Ron Artest and it actually went in. He makes the 3 free throws. Dirk Nowitzki gets a technical, another free throw. The Lakers come out in the third quarter and just go on like another 7-0 run. Kobe hit a 3, and it was just like, that has to be the nail in the coffin against the Mavericks. They were down like 14 maybe, something pretty decent.
Yeah.
And he just thought, all right, here we go.
They got this.
The Mavericks ended up pecking away. I think it was 16. They were down 16 at one point. They erased that deficit eventually in the fourth quarter, and then with a minute to go, the Lakers are up 3, I believe. Dirk hits a shot. Dirk was just hitting everything last night. He had an unbelievable game, hitting every clutch shot, 11 points in the fourth quarter. It seemed like he had 30 in the fourth quarter. And Paul Gasol ends up fouling Dirk Nowitzki, puts Dirk at the line. He makes both free throws. Lakers are down 1. Everyone in the United States of America knew that Kobe was going to be the one they wanted to pass to. Even those in Haiti and in Antarctica, they all knew that Kobe was going to get the ball.
They did. Yeah.
And he ended up getting it and then drove the lane and then passed it out, a steal. And then Jason Kidd made a free throw. 3 seconds left. Kobe misses a game-winning 3 off the back iron. Thus, the Mavericks win.
Right. I'm sorry, I'm going to correct you. That wasn't quite the sequence of events.
You fell asleep
I fell asleep.
4 times
but I did.
during the game.
I did.
You're mistaken.
All right. Here's what
You were asleep.
Okay.
Lies.
Okay, yes. Okay, yes. Kobe hit a clutch shot, which made it 94-91. Then Dirk came down, hit a clutch shot, and it was 94-93. Then Kobe came down the other end, drove to the basket, and passed it out. It was a steal. So there you go. Then the Mavericks took it out of bounds. Pau Gasol fouled Dirk Nowitzki. He hit both free throws. Then there was the dumb play where Jason Kidd hugged Kobe. Kobe tripped over his own 2 feet. Pau Gasol went to give him the ball, lost it, and the Mavericks got the ball. Jason Kidd hits a free throw, and Kobe takes the last shot.
Yeah.
This is it. It wasn't. You weren't way off.
I forgot about the stupid play.
It's
my
all right.
fault.
It's okay.
It was stupid, though.
It was stupid. I agree. But he is right. I fell asleep during this game 4 times. Yes. I knew once halftime hit, I was done. I made it to the start of the third quarter, and then I fell asleep. After they went on their 7-0 run, I fell asleep, and then I woke back up, and then the Mavericks were down by less. I don't know how much. Fewer points, actually. And then I fell asleep again, and it was the start of the fourth quarter where I guess Barea hit a 3 at the end of the third quarter because that's what they were talking about.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, crap, they're only up 7. And then they just decreased. It was like 1. And then I was just like, oh, man, fell asleep. Came back with 2 minutes left, and the Lakers were up 1. You have big feet, I guess. So
14.
Here's my issue, though, in these games. You see Dallas, and they are the team that falls apart in the playoffs. And
It's never happened before, has it?
only like every year.
They put the statistic up this morning. Dallas has lost 4-1 in like the past 5 series. It's just been a sad couple of years. If you're a Mavericks fan in April or May, I'm sorry.
It's true.
Book your vacations and just leave the country.
Just go, yeah. Tape it in case they win.
In case they win.
You know.
But you're better off in like Europe.
Mm-hmm. Tape it. Does anybody tape things anymore?
No.
DVR, TiVo, whatever floats your boat. So, anyway, getting back to it. I was on, right. So entering the end of the first half where Jason Terry all over Lamar Odom. I thought they weren't even going to call it because it just seemed like one of those plays that you just wouldn't call because you just don't believe it's happening. And I'm just looking at him, just like, yeah, exactly. I'm just like, I'm looking at him, just like, back off. Like, as a Lakers fan, too. I was just like, back off. Stop. What are you doing? Like, because pure stupidity just watching these games, no matter if it's against your team, it just bothers me.
Yeah, it's just a dumb decision.
It was dumb, and then I think he fouled him beforehand too.
Yeah.
And then he goes up to shoot, and he reaches in to try to block him. What are you doing? That's just dumb. And then all of a sudden, Lamar Odom hits 3 free throws, and then they're calling a T on Dirk Nowitzki. It's like, what did he do? And I'm looking, and he just elbows Ron Artest in the head. You're gonna let Ron Artest get in your head.
Ron Artest was rough with him during the shot, though. I mean, Ron Artest instead of him boxing him out, he raised his arms, so it hit him higher up. I think the elbow was more or less to back off, and it didn't seem as bad. He just kind of did it behind him. It's not like he turned and just wailed him in the face.
That's true.
And then Ron Artest, of course, looked to the ref for compensation, and for whatever reason, the ref was only looking at them and saw the whole thing happen, so it teed up Dirk. I don't really think it was a lapse of judgment on Dirk's part. I mean, you can't let that kind of thing happen, but I could see if someone comes up to me and kind of shoves me like that, I'll, when they're walking away, I'll give them something. But again, another foul,
right.
a T nonetheless.
Exactly, it was a T. They
Isn't
get
the half
another
over
point.
yet?
This is what I'm just like. Dallas is losing it.
Here we go.
We're fine. But okay, I'm going to come back to since you made. I mean, the TNT crew had a big debate about it at halftime. I guess I was up for that too. Charles Barkley and Chris Webber were like, "Well, Dirk had every right to do it," and I think Kenny Smith that's his name. Yeah. Who I don't like any of them really.
No, they get on your nerves really fast. They're good, but in small doses, kind of like Dick Vitale.
Yeah, I just think Charles Barkley just goes off, and he's just really annoying. And sometimes he just doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm just like, stop talking.
Yeah.
Just stop.
Please.
And he just kept going on and on about it. And I mean, I disagreed. I was on the side of Kenny Smith, where there's no reason to throw the elbow. I'm sorry. You should not have thrown the elbow. Dirk, if you're watching now,
Dirk,
what are you doing?
come on.
What are you doing? You played a great game, but you can't do that. I know that Ron Artest was a little rough, and they just kept showing the replay over and over again during halftime. It was like, okay, we got it. We've seen it.
1,000 angles.
Yeah.
You'll notice that the elbow is at a 120-degree trajectory, hitting Artest in the left clavicle. And
the big issue was that when Dirk went for the elbow, he hit him in the head. That was an issue, or at least from the angle, it looked like he hit him in the head.
And again,
so
I don't
that's
think he
an
meant
issue.
to, but he's tall. So
that's true.
It happens.
That's true. I think if he hit him in the back and the shoulder, it wouldn't have been that bad. But he hit him in the head. The ref was looking right at him. I just think this is a lapse of judgment on Dirk's part. There's no reason to do that before the end of the half. You cannot let Ron Artest get in your head. It's what he does.
He does.
He'll do that. Ron Artest is a fantastic defender. I'll give it to him. Not all the time, but I mean, he's won Defensive Player of the Year, and it's not because he just gets in your head. That's not it. He is just a good defender, but he will try to get in your head. He pulled Paul Pierce's pants down when he was with the Pacers, just to get in his head. I mean, he'll do things to get in your head.
He'll lie on the scores table.
Yes.
And wait for you to throw beer upon him. And when you do, he'll come after you.
So
Pistons fan.
So you can't let Ron Artest get in your head, and that's what he did. But at the end of the game, the Lakers collapse.
They did.
And Dirk comes through. The Mavericks come through. They keep their cool. they win. I mean, that was just unexpected for me. I didn't really see that coming. I think Dirk Nowitzki has definitely improved his end of game. I don't know if he was really bad toward the end of games beforehand, but it just kind of went with the Mavericks. You know, the Mavericks kind of couldn't close out series and stuff, so I guess you could lump him in with that. I'm not sure how he did during the end. I don't know if he wasn't clutch or anything, but honestly, like he's doing great now. This whole regular season he was like top 3 in points scored in the fourth quarter, so he's really playing well now late in games, and that's a really good sign for the Mavericks.
Yeah, a couple of good things they did was the Lakers went on that big run, started the third quarter off with it, but then the Mavericks came right back. I believe it was a 27-4 run or something that they ended up going on to get the game within 2 to 3 points. And it just happened so quick. Joe fell asleep and he woke up, and it was a 2 to 3 point game. That's how quick it was. That worked in their favor, and that's also a red flag for the Lakers, is that they're going to face a lot of problems this series with who to play when, because Gasol or Bynum cannot guard Dirk Nowitzki because he has the body of a 4 post player, but he shoots like a 2 guard. He has one of the best shots in the NBA. I love Dirk Nowitzki, as you can tell.
He's great.
He'll just fade away, and you'll think, and they'll run at him and put your hand in the face. You can't block it, and he'll nail it every time.
Yeah.
He'll either pull up in your face or he'll drive around you, and he's just great. The problem is they have to put Lamar Odom on him, and Odom didn't do terrible against Dirk Nowitzki. I mean, he's athletic. Dirk is just really good.
Yeah.
That's what you have to just settle with. He's really good. But what works well for the Lakers is when Bynum and Gasol are both on the floor at the same time. They work extraordinarily well together. It's just going to be interesting to see how the balance is with that. How often are they going to be able to both be on the floor at one time? Do you sit Ron Artest for Odom to play Nowitzki, or do you put Artest on Nowitzki and sit Odom? It's a lot of decisions for Phil Jackson to make, so much so that he had Paul Gasol guarding Nowitzki at the end of the game, which I still don't understand. Even if he doesn't foul Dirk when he gets the ball, Dirk's just going to drive around him and score. Paul Gasol is not a quick defender at the top of the key. Like, he's not going to know how to guard Dirk. So that's going to be interesting to see what they do in the future of the series. I love Ron Artest's defense. I hate him on offense. I just think he's more or less a body out there. He'll even be wide open for shots, wide open. And he just – some games he has it, and some games you know he does. You're just like, all right, here we go. But other games he just doesn't have it. And it's painful to watch because he'll keep shooting, and it's just not going in. So that happens. Luckily for us in the finals for the Lakers, in the finals last year, he had it for a couple games in the playoffs, and he carried them at some points with threes. But it's basically going to be pick your poison here for the Lakers. Do you let Dirk get his 30 but stop everyone else and score a lot in the post? Do you try and limit Dirk and hope that others don't step up for the Mavericks? Because the Mavericks overall aren't terrible.
No,
they're a good all-around team.
They're a solid team.
Jason Kidd's playing well, and he's not in the Nets uniform. And it's good for him in this series that he's playing against Derek Fisher. They're both up there in age. They don't have to speed around with fast point guards. They can relax. There were times when Jason Kidd got the ball last night, drove past everybody into the paint and just dribbled there for a couple seconds, then drove out again and found somebody. He's just weaving around everyone to find someone to pass to. It's not really panic mode yet for LA. It never is for them.
It's true.
This happens all the time. Mavericks shot very well last night. Their percentage was very good, and not many people did a lot for the Lakers besides Kobe. No one really went off. Odom and Gasol, I believe, had 15 apiece. And, no one really had a great game besides him. So that's in their favor, as well as they'll probably win game 2. They usually do. I would just like to see them win the first game of the series because when they do, Phil Jackson wins the series every time.
That's true. I have to say this. The thing I noticed about yesterday's game, I would much rather Dirk going to the basket. I think there were times where I know the Lakers were up 4 at one point, and Dirk got a pass for 3, and whoever was guarding him kind of sat back and waited till he started his shooting motion to get in his face, and it was too late.
He drilled it.
Like, you can't, I would much rather Dirk going to the basket and getting his points that way than hitting jump shots and hitting threes. It's just, I don't want to say Dirk is soft, but you don't see him going to the basket all the time. You don't see him going all the way. I'd rather see him go all the way, send him into Bynum, send him into the help. You know, this team has length. You have to use it. You can't let him get going from beyond the arc, and that's just what happened. Now, granted, Nowitzki had a great game. I mean, you could just tell he's on. He could have had more points because, as you mentioned to me earlier today, he had a bunch of shots that just kind of went like they were like in and out. I remember a ton of them, and I'm just like, oh, this guy he's on tonight, because when he misses, it's not a doink.
Yeah.
It was going in and out. It was like doo-doo-doo, and then going out, or it would dip in for a minute, and like he was just on. But me personally, if I were guarding Dirk Nowitzki, and I wouldn't, but I'd get killed, he'd step on me, but I would really try to guard his threes, his jump shots, and I would make him go all the way to the basket. That's just me.
Dirk outside the paint is a huge force to reckon with.
Yeah.
And especially when he gets into his zone and he does his fadeaway shots.
Right.
You basically cannot defend that.
Right.
And you're right. I think it would be in the best interest, because then if he drives, they could keep Bynum and Gasol in because he can drive, and they'll at least be there to present some presence down low with their length.
Yeah.
Another thing, too, that they were talking about after the game was Phil Jackson leaving in the subs until midway through the fourth quarter before Kobe got back in and the other players got back in. But Steve Kerr mentioned that this is something he used to do all the time, regardless of who was on his team. He'd leave Jordan on the bench for a certain amount just to get the respect of his guys. And I guess you can't really fault him for it because he has 11 rings.
11 rings.
So he
More
must
than
be doing
anybody
something
else.
right. That's what it was either Kenny Smith or Charles Barkley said that. Like, I think it was Kenny Smith because he usually speaks intelligently sometimes. 11 rings. You can't fault the guy for that.
That's true. That's true.
It's just going to be interesting to see how the Lakers respond to the Mavericks. I think they will. I didn't see them having that too much problem with them during the regular season.
Right. Right.
And
They did win the season series,
Yeah.
I think 2-1.
I think they're the better team, and it wouldn't surprise me if they came out in game 2 and ended up winning by 20, 25.
I agree.
I think their best bet is to let Dirk do his thing, keep him at 25 to 30, but dominate in every other aspect of the game. Don't let him go off for 40 or 50, which I don't know if he's ever done.
Yeah, I don't know.
He usually stays normal. Just play your game. Play with what got you there. If Bynum and Gasol are that dominant, it's not going to matter if Dirk scores 35 points.
It's true. And make it difficult on him to get those points. Don't give him the open looks. I don't think they did a good enough job last night on Dirk. But like I said, get to the basket, make him take those extra steps, tire him out. I mean, simple. Get physical with him. I mean, make him earn the points that he gets.
Yep.
And I think the Lakers will be fine if they're able to do that.
I agree. So moving to the last series, the Hawks and the Bulls. The Hawks are up 1-0 in the series after beating the Bulls 103-95. Joe Johnson, 34 points. Derrick Rose, 24 and 10 assists. The Hawks, without Alonzo Mourning, Dikembe Mutombo. He's not there anymore,
No.
and the Bulls didn't look that great.
No, this was.
And this was the game that we talked about, where if Derrick Rose had to score so much in the first series for them to win, 34, 38 points. Here he only gets he gets 24 points, and you see the end result. They lose by 8, and Joe Johnson, as the headline says, respect him yet. Who are the Hawks? Here they come.
Exactly. Right there, I mean, Joe Johnson, 34 points, 5 of 5 from beyond the arc. This is one of the most underrated players in the league right now. And the Hawks are a very underrated team. This is a team that's been together, as we mentioned last week. I mean, they've been a core unit, and that's important. As much as people don't like to think that let's get all these great players, you know, they're a team, and they've been together for a decent period of time. So I mean, I just think they're clicking right now as a team. So, like, yeah, respect them. You should by now. This was just not a good game for the Bulls. Derrick Rose, 24 points on 27 shots. You're not even getting a point a shot there. So,
Kobe-esque bad.
Yeah, exactly.
In some games that he's had.
So, I mean, there's been a lot. There have been times that he's done that, and what's the end result? They lose. I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily that how their offensive scheme, if they're just going to Rose exclusively, but taking 27 shots, scoring 24 points is not good. I mean, there were other guys. I mean, Luol Deng had 20, maybe 22, something like that, on a much better shooting percentage. So I don't know what their strategy is, or if they just don't want the ball. But like, they have other players that could take the pressure off Rose, and they really have to use them. Even Kyle Korver's been hot from last series, so they really have to start using these players more and not having Derrick Rose have to carry their team, as you mentioned last week. So I don't know. They really have to turn things around. Derrick Rose twisting his ankle. I think he's okay.
Yeah, I think he will be too.
Yeah.
Mindless time when the game was over.
Exactly.
You know? 3 seconds or 4 seconds left. Sprains his ankle. Like,
Yeah.
that could have been catastrophic for the Bulls.
Exactly. It was just like salt on the wound there in the end. So I mean, watch out for the Hawks. It's just like it's kind of like the Grizzlies. I mean, the Grizzlies is a bigger story than the Hawks winning, I would say.
Yeah, but
As
a Bulls fan, I think these are the types of games you have to fear, because if Derrick Rose isn't giving you an above average effort, which he's done in important games so far, who do you go to as that other guy that's going to step up and be able to take your team to victory down the stretch in the fourth quarter? Certain teams just have one guy. For example, the Thunder could try and rely on Westbrook if Durant wasn't shooting that well. For the Mavs, Jason Kidd has stepped up this year in the fourth quarter with these threes, and they've gone to other players. For the Bulls, you can go to other guys, but do you have as much confidence as you'd like to have with passing it out to Kyle Korver for a three in the fourth quarter at the end of the game, or Luol Deng, like when he made that shot against the Heat when he was the guy to go to? Would you do that again? Mm-hmm. Can they be as trustworthy? Not saying that they'd fail. I would just have more trust in different types of guys. And I think as a Bulls fan, that's probably what I would fear most. Who can we go to if Derrick can't do it all? And he's not going to be able to. I mean, the Hawks obviously have his number on their back. He's going to be who they're after. Who else is going to step up for them? And the Hawks are playing very under the radar, like you said, one of the most underrated teams with a great underrated player on their team. They have nothing to fear. They're already up 1-0. They've taken the first game in Chicago, and they're just playing very, very well as a team. And who's going to step up to stop them? Derrick Rose? I don't know. I don't know if he'll be enough to stop the Heat or the Hawks.
Right. I really think another thing, they have to play better defense.
Yeah.
I mean that's obvious. They really have to shut down Joe Johnson. Crawford had like 22 points as well. I mean, these guys could have just gone off, and it may end next game. But this is a team that I see as a very defensive team, a scrappy team. So, and that's what propelled them to the number 1 seed all year. I mean, they just give 110%, and they're all out hustle. They're hitting the boards. They're playing great defense. This is the team they shouldn't have to score more than 95 points than they scored to win the game. I think this team should be holding teams to the 80s, and that's how they're going to win. And that's obvious. They've got to get defensive. They need more contribution from everyone else.
You just got to wonder if Derrick Rose is going to get tired, if he's going to get fatigued after having to do it all. Guarding the fastest guard on the team on defense and then having to run all over the place on offense just to get one open look and then do it all over again all game. I mean, you can't sit this guy for long periods of time like some teams have the luxury of doing, like the Lakers have the luxury of just sitting Kobe and company for 8-9 minutes at a clip and then having them fresh in the fourth quarter. There's teams with deep benches that can do that. Who are you going to pull off the bench that could do as good of a job as Derrick Rose?
Exactly.
If you're the coach for the Bulls, I mean, he's got to be in there, and I don't know if it's going to catch up with them or not. So we'll see.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I mean, you saw it even last series when Derrick Rose got in foul trouble. He was taken out of the game. The Bulls were a completely different team. When Derrick Rose is out of the game, the Bulls are just different. And you just said it. They're a completely different team that can't really hold whatever they have a lead. They can't build on a lead without him. They need him in the game.
So we'll see if they respond. I think they're playing tomorrow, I believe. Well, I hope.
Yeah.
I hope so. The way the scheduling goes, I wouldn't be surprised if they have the next 4 weeks off.
No, me neither.
But if it's Wednesday, check the game out, see how they're doing. If it's Tuesday, you're not even listening to us anymore because the Heat pregame is probably on already, so that's the end of that. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back and talk a little NFL draft for all of you diehard NFL fans out there. If you want to give us a text, if you're listening to us on the radio or watching us on Tuesday, phone number is 570-212-9877. Let us know whatever you want us to talk about or any of your comments. We'd be happy to hear them. If not, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back on 99.5 WSS Crown and the Royal Television Network. It's the John and Joe Sports Show. Stay tuned.
That's the magic number. Yes, it is. It's a magic number. 2 times 3 is 6, and 3 times 6 is 18, and the 18th letter in the alphabet is R. There's 3 R's we're gonna talk about today. You gotta learn to reduce, reuse, recycle. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Reduce, reuse.
paper, get high like planes. If you catch me at the border, I got visas in my name. If you come around here, I'll make them all day. I get one down in a second if you wait. I fly like paper, get high like planes. If you catch me at the border, I got visas in my name. If you come around here, I'll make them all day. I get one down in a second if you wait. Sometimes I think sitting on trains. Every step I get to, I'm clocking that game. Everyone's a winner, we're making our fame. Bonafide hustler, making my name. Sometimes I think sitting on trains. Every step I get to, I'm clocking that game. Everyone's a winner, we're making our fame. Bonafide.
As protests to our new TV production manager, we are going to do the remainder of the show in silence.
This is what we're told. 4 PSAs, 2 minutes. It's the same every week.
Every time.
Did you count 3? Because I counted 3.
I mean, I know we're sports guys and we're comm majors, so math is not our strong suit.
Math is not our strong suit.
However, I can count to 3 and 4.
That high?
Yeah. Sometimes 5.
I mean, maybe they were really long PSAs, and it was actually 2 minutes, and they had to cut
It's all
quickly.
good. Doesn't matter. No one's watching.
Nah, not yet.
So let's pretend the PSA's over now. John and Joe
All
Sports
right,
Show.
here we go. We're back.
Hey, talking about the NFL Draft 2011. I'm sure all of you took off work. Any of you that have beer bellies and wear flannel and a hunting hat, who watch only football all day long, all the time, took the day off from work to watch the draft.
Or my dad, because I don't think he fell under any of those categories.
Pretty sure he does, Joe.
Did he fall under any of those categories?
He wears a hunting hat.
He does
He
all
wears
the time.
flannel, and he has a beer belly.
He
Right?
does not.
That's not your father?
He does not,
Who
no.
the hell's in your house every time I go there? Do you know who that is? You should probably tell him to move on. Move on.
Move out.
Sir, please
I have to
stop
tell him.
watching NFL in my house.
I've never seen this man.
Oh.
This is terrible.
He's in your living room area.
God.
Yeah.
Jeez. Well, he did take the day off, but he had to do a project for work. It's very funny how that works out. But
His name is Ted. Okay.
oh,
Ted
okay.
O'Neill.
All right. Well, my name is my name. My
He
dad's
likes
name is Rocco.
Swedish fish, so give him some.
Jeremy?
Ted.
Okay.
Ted.
Gotcha.
Teddy. Anyway. Wow, he had to go into work. That's unfortunate.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What are you gonna do?
I couldn't care less about the draft. This year in particular, I don't know what it was, but for me, the small amount of care that I had before the lockout was completely evaporated once they locked the key and tossed it into the sea, along with, it was next to where they buried Bin Laden. The key to the NFL lockout is somewhere down there too.
I don't like the NFL draft either. I like to see the players perform.
Yeah.
Like once they, it doesn't matter how they did in college. I don't know whether to be excited or not to get these people.
No, yeah.
Number 1 pick, Cam Newton. How do you know he's going to be good? Heisman Trophy winner. That means nothing. Honestly, national champion.
Sass
that means
Reggie
nothing.
Bush.
Yeah.
He had to give it back.
He had to give it back.
It's funny to see when they talk about the draft, the players that have been very successful in the NFL, where they were drafted in their draft year.
Right.
Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, they fell pretty far.
Right, yes.
And they're the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yep.
So where does that judge the people that get drafted high? Who was the last like first, second, third pick quarterback that has been extraordinarily successful in the NFL?
Well, Aaron Rodgers was drafted 24th overall.
Brady Quinn was 22nd.
That is tough.
Who?
I can't really.
Exactly.
Could you count Jay Cutler?
Was he in the first round, like high up?
First round, but he was drafted after two people that I can't. Oh,
Mark Sanchez, I guess.
He was drafted after Leinart and Vince Young.
Yeah.
Who were drafted higher.
And there, Vince Young doesn't have a team, and Matt Leinart is a bench warmer.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess.
You look at these
Mark
elite.
Sanchez would be.
You could say Mark Sanchez. I wouldn't
Stafford.
I really wouldn't put him up there. Like, yeah, I wouldn't put him up there.
No.
Peyton Manning was a top pick. He was definitely a top pick.
I know Tom Brady fell.
Tom Brady fell like 6th, 7th round or something like that. Kurt Warner was undrafted.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So there's I'm just trying to think of the quarterbacks. I know Peyton Manning was high. I don't know if he was drafted before Ryan Leaf.
Probably because of his father, Archie.
But yeah, anyone else?
A lot of the top quarterbacks that get drafted in the past 5 years, I'd say, are on the bench somewhere.
Yeah.
They got drafted, first, second round, high picks, but they're on the bench.
Yeah, you could say Phillip Rivers, Eli Manning.
Yeah.
Still not like I'd put Phillip Rivers above Eli Manning, but
I don't know where Favre was drafted.
Favre,
But
now that's a tough one. I don't think it was first round.
And it wasn't number one.
No.
But I think running backs were held in a higher regard back in those days as far as number one draft picks. Maybe not.
I don't know.
But the point of it is, it's hard to pick someone and pinpoint them as success. So Cam Newton, enjoy the bench. Cam Newton goes to the Panthers, who just drafted a certain quarterback from a certain school who went in the first round, I think.
He went in the second round.
Jimmy Clausen?
Jimmy
Who's
Clausen.
going to be their, next guy after Jake, daylight come and I want to get the hell out of the NFL because I've been a terrible quarterback for the past 5 years home? Or is it just Del Home? Did he change that?
No, I think it's the first one. Yeah.
He could be a 2-hour show on Jake Del Home's terrible NFL career.
He's hapless.
But he is.
Definitely hapless.
Jimmy Clausen was supposed to be the guy who's going to take over. Not to be.
You take Cam Newton.
Cam Newton. The majority of the people that have viewed Cam Newton say that he's going to suck in the NFL. And the man on my left, to your right, has also agreed with the majority of the people.
I agree. I think Cam Newton's going to be a bust.
A flop.
Yeah. Judging by past people, that prototype, he's no Michael Vick or Donovan McNabb. I'll just say that. People will be like, oh, Donovan McNabb was terrible. He wasn't terrible.
Donovan McNabb was really great.
Yeah, you just don't like him because he never won a Super Bowl for you,
Yes.
Philadelphia fans.
Ask anyone else who isn't an Eagles fan. Great.
Yeah, very good. Probably the best of that prototype, of the run-pass prototype. I would say that Donovan McNabb was the best in recent.
Yeah.
I can't think of. I don't know. I
Steve
may be
McNair
missing something.
was
You could say Steve McNair.
Really close.
Yeah.
A yard close, if you will. For
I-
you Titans fans out there that still can't go to bed at night because of the yard.
Love Steve McNair.
Steve McNair was the man. But I agree, just because the Donovan McNabb got so far in the playoffs every year than McNair did, he was well into the second round of playoff every year. So I
Yeah,
think
I
he
would-
wins the battle.
I would say, yeah, a lot of NFC championships and one Super Bowl. So
Almost.
yeah, I really liked Donovan McNabb, but like that, getting away from that, that's in recent memory, that's the one prototype that worked. Vic was a run first. He's trying to get more of the passing, but he's not going to beat you on passing. Let's just face it. So, I mean, and Cam Newton is taller. He's bigger. I mean, he's more of a Jamarcus Russell, not as big. Dante Culpepper,
Let's
again.
hope he's not for
That's
his sake.
That's the issue. These are the people that are popping in my head.
What can you do? I can throw it 50 yards from my knees. Can you do a 3-step drop? No.
Can you throw it in the vicinity of a receiver? No.
No, but watch.
No.
Look at my strength.
But man, can I let it fly. Yeah.
Just run.
That's it, yeah.
Run for it. You'll catch it. I'll just throw it up. Oh, to be a wide receiver for Jamarcus Russell must have been a nightmare and a half. My route is to the middle, and he just threw it. Where are you throwing it? Defenders just run backward and wait for the ball. Oh, man. No one knows who Jamarcus Russell is.
That probably does. Who's Jamarcus Russell?
Raiders.
But that's the point.
Yeah, exactly. Who is Jamarcus Russell?
Jamarcus Russell. That's it. I mean, I don't see it from him. I don't see any big difference. I mean, he's a Heisman Trophy winner and he won a national championship. But I don't see it. That prototype has not been successful. Dante Culpepper was successful because he had Randy Moss.
And Chris Carter.
Yes, he had great receivers. All he had to do was throw it up to Randy Moss, and that was it. And once he didn't have that anymore, he wasn't anything. So
yeah, and he was on the cover of
he was
Madden, so
on the cover of Madden
after
2002.
That was it.
That was it.
That was a mistake.
I agree. So
Yeah.
there's my opinion of Cam Newton.
I'm just waiting for that prototype, like you said, to prove us wrong. And it's going to be hard to, because in the NFL, even though it's hard to believe, if you can't throw the ball accurately, consistently, and quickly, you can't be a successful quarterback in the National Football League. Very rarely do you find that quarterback that could scramble his way through defense on a botched play and still win you football games. And I don't know if the Panthers are going to be the best team for him to do it with.
For him to start with.
Starting with the Panthers,
That's
you
not
need
good.
a great offensive line to open up holes for you to run, and you need receivers to throw it to develop your accuracy and your confidence to where, like you're saying, if you're throwing it to somebody like Randy Moss, it doesn't have to be a perfect pass, and he'll catch it. You know, build off that for the first couple of years, then really starting to develop with confidence and be able to use both aspects. But you're starting off on the Panthers.
Absolutely.
Who just got rid of their head coach, who's now their head coach at Denver. The Panthers have just been in a downward spiral for the past couple of years, even with Steve Smith as their receiver. He's basically all they have, and they guard him very well, the defense. Who else are you going to pass it to? The double running back thing they had going a couple years ago with Stewart and whoever.
Stewart and D'Angelo Williams. Yes.
That worked really well for them that 1 year.
1 year, exactly.
It didn't work at all last year. They went away from it. They just had one running back, basically. He's going into a system where I don't think it will be very successful for him, and I just see it being a struggle. Is his talent going to overachieve all of that and just it doesn't matter? Will he win will they go 500 with him? They might. You know, he might be one of the first quarterbacks to kind of break out of that shell of the running quarterback. Like, look at Tim Tebow, for example, at Denver. He was a running quarterback at Florida, an option man. You're in the NFL, you have to learn to pass it. Tim Tebow was willing to be taught. He spent all offseason learning how to drop back faster, throw higher. Is Cam Newton going to listen to somebody when they tell him, I don't care if you have a Heisman, a national championship, or what, you can't be a quarterback in this league. Here's what you have to do it. Is he going to take that in stride or say, kill yourself? I'm moving forward on my own. I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, if you look at his past history, look, he got thrown out of Florida, basically. He had to go to, like, D2 college. He won the championship there. Okay, great. And then he came back. He had those problems with his father. He's stealing things from people. Like, I just don't know if he's the guy to do it.
Yeah.
I don't see it. He might be, but I don't see it yet.
I agree, and you make a great point about these quarterbacks that come out and they're the number 1 picks and they're just with these terrible teams. Like, how do you build on that?
Yeah, what do you do?
Matthew Stafford, how do you build on that with Detroit? And he's doing an okay job. I'll admit, he really is doing an okay job. But I mean, how do you build with the Panthers? It just doesn't seem right. And let's wind the clocks back. Last year, let's see. 2000. That's. I got a text. It's not from.
On the computer.
Oh.
Oh, we don't have internet, that's why. Forget it. Whatever you did, don't worry about it. Anyway, 2000 something.
Okay, so 2000. I thought you texted me. Someone else texted me. So 2011. This year, Super Bowl winning quarterback Aaron Rodgers. He is a very accurate quarterback. There you go. He could get out of the pocket, but throw first. Very accurate. Super Bowl champions. 2010. Drew Brees. Accurate quarterback, not a big runner at all. Yeah, birthmark.
That's what.
Yeah. Year before that, we've got Ben Roethlisberger, I believe.
Yes.
Okay. Again, ability to escape, but no. Quarterback, thrower. You know. Go before that. I mean. Let's just start skipping years now. We've got Peyton Manning, you got Tom Brady. These people couldn't run a yard if they had to.
Peyton Manning being the worst
yes,
of all of them.
He is the
when
slowest.
He starts running, oh man.
So slow. So it's more important to throw and to have that accurate. The throwing ability is the most important thing, and that's the point I'm trying to make. With these Super Bowls. Who do you see winning? The quarterback, I feel, is the most important position in the NFL. And these are the teams that are winning. It is this prototype quarterback throwing is the most important part. I know that seems like, well, obviously, quarterback, you have to throw. But I mean, with these prototypes, I feel like they're trying to change the game. They haven't quite done it yet.
Yep. It works well in college, and that's what hurts.
That's the issue.
That everyone sees it and goes, "Oh, he's going to be awesome in the NFL."
That's the issue.
They're not the same, though.
That's the issue.
They don't do the same offenses, and they don't do the same defenses in college. Offensive game plans are completely different. That's why you see so many NFL coaches or college coaches fail at the pro level, because it's a completely different ball game.
It's true.
It's very hard to be able to do either or try both. I mean, you could just go down the line of people that have failed miserably, like Charlie Weiss coming to Notre Dame from the NFL. Stop. Steve Spurrier, Nick Saban, Pete Carroll. They're usually more successful in one than the other.
Right, absolutely.
It's very rarely that you get one who's great in everything. It's just like, yeah, come on. College, like Coach K, for example, just happens to be amazing in both college and the NBA. He has 2 gold medals. He can bring the largest egoed players in the United States that play basketball on one team and bring them together as teammates and have them win, which is miraculous.
Yeah.
So very different games, and I don't know. Again, like we've been saying, it's going to be interesting to see the whatever you call it, the dice are against them, the stack, the cards.
The cards, yep.
Something.
Cards,
some object.
You got it.
So we had Von Miller, the only rookie to be on the committee against the NFL players, that is, going against them for the lockout. He went to Denver. Marcel Darius to the Bills, A.J. Green to the Bengals, Patrick Peterson to the Cardinals, Julio Jones to the Falcons, wide receiver, Aldon Smith, 49ers, Jake Locker to the Titans, which I was pretty surprised about, that low.
Yeah.
Or that high, however you say what happens. Tyron Smith to the Cowboys, Blaine Gabbert to the Jaguars as a quarterback. to go off the top 10. So there's your top 10. First year since '99 a tight end wasn't drafted in the first round. But it seemed to be a more defensive-oriented draft from what I kind of saw as far as talent-wise. I really wasn't paying too much attention as far as, who had the best draft? I did hear Denver's name pop up quite a bit, though, not just because I'm a Denver fan, but just because John Elway is basically taking over the team, and they're definitely in the rebuilding stage. But they seem to have they got 3 key defensive players, which is what they need because their defense was god-awful last year. They just seem to fill in the pieces that they needed to fill in very well. The Packers, I'm sure, did the same because their drafting class, though it might not seem that way in the beginning, ends up working out years later, as we see on ESPN commercial. They basically drafted their entire starting lineup that won the Super Bowl.
It's true. It's true. Yeah,
as far as, but I don't even know bus teams either. I just didn't really care to take too much attention.
Yeah, same
I'm
here.
sure your father could tell us.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But unfortunately, we don't have the phone with us.
So yeah, I'm like the thing about this draft. I didn't think there were that many big time players.
Yeah,
you know,
I didn't either.
Like
even Von Miller. I was like, I didn't know who he was because the night before they showed him at the trial. That's the only reason I knew who he was.
Yeah.
Like, he was well dressed. I mean, Mark Ingram was drafted, and I didn't care. I think he went to the Saints, and it was like, your father's in jail, and is this the end of Reggie Bush? And I would have cared more last year when he won the Heisman with Alabama than this year when he just didn't do as much.
Right.
There wasn't as much pop to the draft.
No, I agree. I never really. Really wasn't much in it for me. And again, we just don't know how these players are going to turn out, so I can't really get excited about it or anything. I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me, and that's that. I had nothing more to say.
I know. It's an unfortunate time. Yes. So we'll find out, as we always do with the draft. We'll find out if there's going to be a season.
Yeah, wasn't that great?
Yeah.
The lockout's over just in time for the draft, but halfway through the draft, we're going to tell you that the lockout is back on.
Yeah.
Like what?
And
come on.
On top of that, we're single.
And we're single. That's right.
So yeah, that was kind of a buzzkill. But it was like the most exciting thing that happened in the draft was when Roger Goodell came out and everyone chanted, "We want football," and he didn't know what to do. He's like, "Okay, yeah, me too,
Me too. Yeah.
All right, guys, okay, stop it, quiet down, children, quiet down."
And that was Thursday.
Yeah.
So they had to hold the first round until Friday, and that was that.
Yeah, I just can't get into the draft. I tip my cap to all the analysts. Whatever that guy's name is with the slick back hair.
Mel Kiper.
Mel Kiper and his
Junior.
cohort that just get into it and analyze everything and know who they should get and who failed and who's going to do this. Oh, yeah. Let's just play football.
Exactly.
And see what happens.
I just want to play football. I actually want to just watch
Yeah, I'll
people.
watch.
Sorry, I don't play for anybody.
By the way, as well, I don't think we mentioned Peyton Hillis ended up winning the Madden 2012 cover, thus ending Cleveland's hopes of a successful football season yet again. Another losing year for a Cleveland sports team. You chuckle and laugh and say, that won't happen, but it will.
Will, yes.
We've been chuckling and laughing since Madden's inception, and it's not funny anymore. It's quite sad. Poor Peyton. A white running back finally rises to the top and will get kicked back down again by Madden 2012. I feel bad for Cleveland. They just cannot win with sports.
But I think they feel as though they have won. It's funny because you see all the celebration and stuff.
See, I don't know. It's funny to think, I don't know if people realize of the curse so much that they wanted Vic back on the cover so his career would be ruined
I was gonna say.
and Philly would lose again because I think people love seeing the Eagles lose. I know I do.
I do too.
So I don't know if it's just people that, I don't know. So there's that. That'll be another thing we'll talk about next year when the season comes.
Yes.
The status of Peyton Hillis. if he's even playing to start the year off. He might,
Yeah.
God forbid anything, but who knows?
Yeah, you don't want it to happen, but sometimes it's
will.
just inevitable. Yeah.
He's either going to struggle or he's going to get injured.
Exactly.
Not going to be good. As far as baseball is concerned, nothing's happening at all. People are winning the division. Who do you expect to? Teams are getting back to normal.
Yeah.
It's a typical baseball season.
Cardinals have the lead in the division.
Cleveland Indians have the best record, I believe, in baseball. So Cleveland could enjoy this. We're not even a quarter of the way through the year yet. They could at least salvage this moment into the All-Star break. Remember when we were the best record in May?
It's a big accomplishment.
It is.
Them.
So I think that's it for us. You got final words of encouragement for our viewers? Anything of salvageable information for our listeners and viewers?
I never have anything, I'm going to prepare next time.
You need a
Really do. The top seeds have to start winning in the NBA playoffs. How about that?
That's true. They do.
I think only one did. One. Yeah, one. The Heat. That was it.
I wish I had a really great vital information for your everyday life, Lori Beth Dimberg quote right now to end the show. But the one I'm thinking of is not going to work because I can't remember the punchline perfectly.
Okay.
So it's going to be a waste.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
instead I will say, I dropped the screw in the tuna.
I like it.
And for anyone that's ever watched Keenan and Kel, you understand completely the catastrophic moment when I dropped the screw in the tuna. If not, YouTube it. Laugh with me. Enjoy it. We'll be back next week. Same time, same place, same frequency. 6 to 8 on Tuesday, 99.5 WSR Scranton. 9 to 11 on Wednesday night. If you have Comcast Cable, Channel 21, local TV, enjoy our show. 2 for the price of 1. Greatness all night. John and Joe Sports Show. Good night.
Good night. Hey, thanks.